That's my brother. How are you?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Signature printed names. Yeah, yeah. Meadows. And thank you so much.
Are you gonna wait?
I wasn't sure, but
Why did I make the choices? I don't know why.
Illinois. Only once.
All right, it is 6:30 PM. I'd like to call to order the Village Board of Trustees meeting of Monday, December 15th, 2025. Will the clerk give the roll call, please?
President Haramio,
Present.
Trustee Bartholomew. Here. Trustee Humans,
Here.
Trustee Wright,
Present.
Trustee Black,
Here.
Trustee Russell,
Here.
Trustee Franzen.
All right, we do have a quorum this evening. At this time, I invite everyone that is able to please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So, without objection, Chair requests to move item 10, President's Remarks, up in the agenda to right now. Is there any objection from any trustees? All right, hearing none, so I have one quick remark that I'd like to state that's not on the agenda, and is that this is our first live streamed meeting here in the village since COVID, I believe. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully people online will be able to hear us, but it will be on the village's newly created YouTube channel, Village Board of Williams Bay. Is how you find it on there. So that being said, it will be saved forever on the internet. So if you do plan to speak today or do anything, just kind of remember that and exercise some discretion. The OWL device that we use, it does track noise in the room. So if you are kind of moving around or making noise in the audience, the camera may find its way onto you. That's just how the technology works. So there we go. And then one agenda item I do have under President's Remarks this evening is I would like to acknowledge, we have a longtime staff member here in the village that is going to be leaving for greener pastures, and that's Emily Sanders. So Emily, I got a little bit of a spiel for you, Emily. So Emily joined as a lowly library assistant 13 years ago and has risen to librarian. Then she was the youth services coordinator, youth services director, then assistant library director, which she held while still being the youth services director as well. She is fantastic. She's initiated some programs, including the Spanish Story Time, the Teen Advisory Board, the Media Podcast Club. She ran Truckapalooza the last couple of years with help from other members, but that's been a very popular event here in the village. And she's overall just a fantastic asset to the village. We're simultaneously very sad to see you go, but we're happy that she got a full library directorship job at our neighbor just down the road, Fontana Library. So we want to let you know that we're very happy to have had you this whole time. We wish you the absolute best of luck, and we hope to see you around in the village, okay?
I'm still a resident.
Just to add on there, as youth services director, all the kids in the elementary school know you by name. She knows just about all those kids by name, including my kids. So again, we're gonna miss you.
It's been a real honor.
Okay. All right, so that was what I had for President's Remarks. Next, we're going to move to the approval of the minutes. There are two sets of minutes this evening. The first goes back a little bit from September 22nd, is the North Williams Bay Village Board of Trustees and the Williams Bay School District Board of Education meeting. So Chair would look for a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the meeting minutes dated September 22nd, 2025, between the Williams Bay School Board and the Village of Williams Bay Board of Trustees.
Second, right?
All right, there's a first and a second on that motion to approve the minutes. Are there any corrections or questions to these minutes? All in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. That motion carries. And the next set is the minutes from the village board meeting of December 1st, 2025.
I'll make the motion to approve the village board meeting minutes of December 1st, 2025.
Second Bartholomew.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion to approve those minutes from December 1st. Any questions or corrections on those minutes? All right, I'm hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. Any abstentions? All right, that motion carries. Thank you. So at this time, we're going to move to the section made and labeled public comments. First, normally we would have responses to public comments from the previous meeting if there were any direct questions. The last meeting was kind of strange. We actually had no public comments at either of the opportunities. So we'll move right into public comments. If you have one, please step up to the lectern, state your full name and your address, and share your comment, keeping in mind that you will be saved forever on the internet. So try to keep it civil, please.
Good evening, Matt Robbins, 371 Frost Drive. I'm here tonight as a plan commission member, and this is in regards to the land and lakes development that is slated for the east side of our town. After like an 18-month hiatus, this project came back to us 2 weeks ago on a very busy night, and in a packet of about 500 pages, there was one sheet of paper that was written to the village and letting the village know that they were changing the development agreement assignment to Shillian Homes. Okay, so this is something that the plan commission didn't want and didn't approve. Okay. So what I've learned in the last couple of weeks too is we've kind of gone too far down this road to be able to turn it around. But what we can do is we can slow it down a little bit. If the board wanted to kick it back to the plan commission so that we could re-review everything that's in there, or at a minimum, and this is my bigger concern, is making sure that we police the development agreement. There's a lot of developments that come into Williams Bay, and we get good agreements, and then we don't follow through on them. And the developers, in many cases, don't hold up their end of the bargain. So I'm here tonight for that reason, to make sure that you guys give it some consideration on how we manage this development, as it's not what we wanted for an entryway into one of the 3 entryways into our village. So we need to make sure that it is what we want. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins.
Thank you, Matt.
Are there any other public comments at this time? There will be another opportunity towards the end of the meeting to make public comments. All right. I'm not seeing anyone, so we are going to move on to the next item, which will be the consent agenda. Would any trustees like to request any items to be removed from the consent agenda to be considered individually?
I have questions on item F,
Okay.
but I don't know if it needs to be separated out.
I think you could ask, sure. But we'll pull item F separately then. Okay. So then, Chair would make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A, B, C, D, and E, not including item F.
I'll make that motion.
Chair will look for a motion. Thank you, trustee Lumens.
Second, right?
Second, trustee Wright. All right, so there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the consent agenda items A, B, C, D, and E, not including item F. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. That motion carries. All right, so we'll take up the next item in question. Item F is resolution R 8525, authorizing a 3-year contract with Lake Geneva Pier Company for all village piers annual installation, removal, and repairs. So, Chair would make a motion approving resolution RA 525, just to open up discussion.
Second, Franzen.
Second, Franzen. Trustee Franzen, what's your question, please?
So I noticed that there was performance language regarding when the piers went in and when they came out, but there was no performance language relative to repairs and number of days to correct any issues. Did we want to add that to the agreement?
Trustee Russell, do you have an answer to that question?
I do not. I don't know of any other contracts that had any kind of time frame on repairs to get it done. Specifically, items were left off and only a labor rate is in the contract. I don't know if attorney has any comments to that or not. I guess not.
The repairs, and just looking at it right now, in terms of page 4, which deals with project A, provides that that there's no specific time frame, just those minor repairs are completed without notification
Right.
and invoice, and a major is completed on time and material with prior village approval, but yeah, there's no specific time period for that. I guess that's, of course, they don't get paid unless they repair it, so. That's the current status at least, so I guess it's up to the village board whether it feels that, basically what this does is it, this contract, as you probably have observed, incorporates largely the bid that was approved. And so the bid didn't really call for specified periods, so that's why it wasn't put in here.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
So, Trustee Russell, as Chair of Parks and Lakefront, do you feel the contract is sufficiently worded, or do you?
No, I thought it was sufficiently worded. And we don't have a lot of experience with Lake Geneva Pier Company. We did check their references. We did check that they do have a repair facility. They did indicate they had a barge on the lake the entire summer season. So they said repairs weren't an issue. They agreed to do a check of the cribs at no charge. Yeah, I didn't have a real concern over the repair aspect of it. And actually, since repairs aren't really part of the contract per se, we could use anybody if we had to for repairs. So I think that was one of the it's very difficult to get quotes at a contractual basis on repairs. So what we did do in the contract and in the request for bids, we did indicate what type of material needs to be used, what needs to go into building the piers, what type of fasteners. I was comfortable with that.
Either trustee have anything to add?
I would just go ahead, Will.
I would add that I would assume that we don't particularly care when the repair is done, or as long as they're done before they go back in the spring.
Well, there's I think multiple aspects to it. One, that has to be done. They have to inspect the piers, give a quote, do the repairs prior to them going in. I'm not sure if you were really looking at, Trustee Franzen, the fact that if there's a damage during the course of the season,
And it's
how
unusable.
fast do they do the repair? Over the last few years, there's always been an issue at the beginning of the season. We just have to stay on top of the contractor to make sure they get it done.
I would just add, I think it comes down to also, it's kind of difficult to put a timeline on, although I understand the concern. It might be difficult to put a timeline on depending on what repair it is. If you get a crib that breaks in the middle of the season, it might be more difficult to repair versus a cross member. And I would think, as a company, they would hopefully try to repair it as quickly as possible so they could continue with our business. I do understand the concern, but I think it might be hard to put a time frame on it.
We do have no payment is approved until the piers are inspected after they go in. So that, I think, is a controlling factor on the front end of the season, that they have to get in. If we find anything, between Director of Public Works and myself, we'll walk the piers, we check to make sure everything looks good. and then we approve payment on the invoices. If they're not good, then they have to get out there and they have to repair it.
I was less concerned about start of season
Yeah.
than mid-season. If there's some damage and then something is unusable for a period of time, just wanting to put some guardrails in place, but if you're comfortable.
I
with it-
think once you notify them that repairs needed, they'll be out there. Someone will be out there right away to fix it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion or points on this item? All right, so the motion is to approve resolution R 8525, which will authorize the contract. All in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. And that motion carries. All right, the next item will be the presentation of accounts and petitions. This will be handled by our Finance and Personnel Chair, Trustee Wright.
Thank you, President Paramano. I first present for board approval the report of payroll ending 11/28/2025, amount of $51,500.95.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve payroll ending 11/28/25. All in favor, or any questions on the motion?
Just a question on when we anticipate that overtime will be reduced for the police officers with the new hires? Is it gonna be 6 months, 3 months? What do you think?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sorry, just curious about when the overtime numbers will go down for the police force now that we have new officers.
We're looking probably about 4 to 5 months when Bailey gets out of the academy, Officer Carlton. We'll start to see those numbers kicking down then.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
All right, there's no more discussion. All in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. Motion carries.
And secondly, I present for board approval the report of accounts payable unpaid dated 12/12/2025 in the amount of $118,873.72.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the accounts payable unpaid dated 12/12/25. Any questions on the motion?
I have one.
Yes, please.
I'll have to probably direct it to Administrator Spike. There's approximately a $25,000 gauge repair for the cribs that was to go to the peer reserve account. I wasn't sure if that account number was the peer reserve account. Can you just make sure it's checked? Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. That motion carries.
Then I present for board approval the report of library accounts unpaid dated 12/11/2025, amount of $2,334.66.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve the library accounts unpaid dated 12/11/25. Any questions on this motion? All in favor, please vote aye. Any opposed, vote no. Motion carries.
Then I present for board approval the report of monthly EFT payments for November 2025, amount of $139,543.56.
There's a first and a second on the motion to approve monthly EFT payments for November 2025. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please vote aye. Any opposed, vote no. Motion carries.
And finally, I present for board approval the October 2025 financial statements.
And there's a motion to approve, the first and a second on the motion to approve the October 2025 financial statements. Any questions on the motion?
I do have one question.
Please, Trustee Lewis.
First line on the tax levy, this is for Dave, and I know you can't answer the question, but maybe you can look into it. So we're still short on the tax levy, $28,000, $27,000. And it's getting to the end of the year. So it means somebody or some people haven't not paid yet. And since it's our responsibility now and not Walworth County anymore, we should see where we're at with that, if we're gonna get that.
I have a question also. I don't know, Dave, if you can answer this or not, but on page 24, the recycling other expense, looks like it's 1,500% higher than budget to we know what goes into that category?
My understanding is that that includes, I think it included like chipping for storm removal cleanup. But I can look into it and get you the details of what's all included in there.
Okay, just wasn't sure if it was tied to the tornado.
Maybe not the tornado, but we did have some storms that I know required some extra cleanup.
Okay, thank you.
We also got a directive from I believe from the DNR that said we couldn't store material there. We had to dispose of it, chip it, get it out of there.
You're right.
Thanks.
Any other questions on the motion? All in favor, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. And that motion carries.
That's it, President Harriman.
All right, thank you, trustee Wright. So the next item will be we have two items from the Plan Commission. The first was from applicant Mike Condren and John Dwyer, street address 105 North Walworth Street and Lakefront area in Williams Bay. Applicant requested a temporary use permit for section 390.208 temporary use permit and section 390.0316 sub B temporary outdoor sales for a food vending cart. This is the food vending cart, operates as Cuban Dogs. It's associated with the Dip in the Bay restaurant that operates at the beach location during the summers. The recommendation from the Plan Commission was to approve the temporary use permit for the food vending cart, and that was a unanimous recommendation. And I believe this is his 7th summer operating the cart, was it 5th, 7th? He's here right now, so
Just finished the 6th, so.
just, so it'll be for the his 7th season down there, so. Chair would look for a motion.
I move to approve temporary use permit for a food vending cart for Dubin Dogs.
I'll second.
I heard trustee Russell first, sorry. Okay, we have a first and a second on the motion to approve the temporary use permit for the food vending cart. Are there any other questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. All right, that motion carries. The second item that's listed here under the Plan Commission agenda is the Land and Lakes Company, the Willow Bay Meadows project. This is the vacant land off of East Geneva Street and Highway 50 in Williams Bay, parts of Wayne Township and Geneva Township. This was recommended there's going to be two separate ordinances that are going to be handled in the ordinances and resolutions section of our agenda. There were two separate ones that were going to be considered this evening. Just to speak, the Plan Commission did recommend approval of both ordinances, each of them with a 5-2 vote. So we're not going to take action at this section of the agenda on those items. We'll be taking them up in the ordinances and resolutions section. So as we already did the president's remarks section, we are now at the ordinances and resolutions section. And our building, zoning, and ordinances chair, trustee Franzen, will be handling this section, please.
Thank you, President Jaramillo. I move to approve R 81-25. I'm sorry. I move to approve ordinance 2025-14 and ordinance approving annexation and temporary zoning for Willow Bay Meadows subdivision.
I'll second.
All right, so there's a first and a second on the motion approving ordinance 2025-14, an ordinance providing for direct annexation by unanimous consent of the electors and property owners of the territory located in the town of Geneva, Walworth County, the town of Lynn, Walworth County, the village of Williams Bay, Walworth County. So this is the first of the two ordinances I referred to earlier regarding the Willow Bay Meadows development. I think now is the time that needs to maybe, now we have it open for discussion. We could, Attorney Schrader, I think that we got you here, so you kind of explain to the trustees and maybe the audience members where we are legally with approving these two ordinances.
Sure, the Plan Commission action was primarily to make a recommendation on the temporary zoning of the property, which would be the SF-3 designation, suburban and residential district. So this matter is now before the common council, or excuse me, the village board, to determine whether or not to approve the annexation of two parcels, one in the town of Geneva, one in the town of Lynn there. It's a unanimous petition, and so at this point in time, it comes to the village board, which would approve it by approving the ordinance on a 2/3 vote, which would be by 5 votes. That's what the statute requires. And this is in connection with a final plat that the board will be subsequently considering. There in October of last year, the board approved the development agreement and they approved the preliminary plat. So procedurally, that's where this proposed development is at right now.
Great, discussion on the motion or questions for our attorney or for?
So should we talk about the developer's responses to the engineer's comments when we get to the plat
Yes.
change? Okay,
Right.
so nothing about the annexation.
We already approved this, and there is no substantial difference.
Well, this is that to deal with the plat issue, and so this would be merely with the annexation that they submitted their proposed annexation for these parcels, and so that there'll be separate votes, so that would be just your consideration, whether it's appropriate to annex them and then to accept the proposed zoning of the property.
So it's my understanding that this annexation leaves one parcel that is, will still be owned by the town of Lynn,
Well, it'd still be within the town.
within the town of Lynn. So but it's on the west side of East Geneva Street.
Yeah.
So explain to me how that doesn't constitute an island.
It's, well, that the street does not in itself destroy the contiguousness of the parcel from the town. Because of course, there's a number of streets that go through the municipality, and that doesn't destroy the fact that it's all part of the municipality, and that's the situation there, as I understand it. There's currently 2 parcels, I believe, from the town of Lynn that are located west of Geneva Street, and one of them is being annexed. And so they were both, in my opinion, of course, they were in the town of Lynn at that point in time. They currently are until you do the ordinance. So this merely just removes one of them from the town of Lynn and would make that a part of the village. And it doesn't change the status of the remaining parcel that was in the town of Lynn, still is in the town of Lynn. So it doesn't there's nothing here that creates an island. And it's still directly across from property that's in the town of Lynn. And so it's still considered to be contiguous to that property that's across the street from it.
Any other questions on the motion?
So I'd just like to make a statement, since I wasn't on the board in October when this was approved. My big concern with this is the density on Highway 50 and the concern about having it look like Delavan Inlet looks now, with a lot of homes clustered in a very small piece of property. As an entrance to the village, last year we had several conversations about not wanting to have homes built on the west side of the village coming into town. We didn't want to have that level of density. And now we have, about that same time, there was an approval for 42 homes on that spot. And I just, the look and feel of having a subdivision like that with similar models, similar look and feel clustered together, I just don't feel like that meets the spirit of what this community wants, in terms of housing. So I will be voting no.
And, just to clarify, this is in, compliance with the comprehensive plan, that's correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And then legally speaking, holding up the development at this point, Attorney Schrader, is that, I was under the understanding that could open this up to a lawsuit? Could you explain how that would, if that is true, or if that?
Well, that I don't know that it would or would not, but,
This might more regard the final plat, sir.
yeah, I think yes. It's certainly the annexation is a separate issue. Technically, one could approve the annexation and not approve the plat. So really, I think the plat is what's being addressed as a concern as opposed to the annexation, so.
And I guess I would add, with the other resolution will establish a temporary zoning level of SF3, which is a fairly generous, fairly large lot. It certainly isn't an SF1, which are the lakefront lots, but SF3 is probably constitutes the zoning for half of the residential property in the village. So I don't think it'll end up looking like the Delaware Inlet, at least from a density perspective.
This is 3 per acre, and where Willow Bay Woods is 4 per acre.
Yeah, it's lots of 14,000 to 44,000, according to the developer.
Any other questions on the motion? Clerk, will you give a roll call, please?
President Hirschman,
Aye.
trustee Bartholomew.
Aye.
Trustee Humans,
Aye.
trustee Wright,
Aye.
trustee Black,
Aye.
trustee Russell.
Aye.
Trustee Franzen.
No.
All right, that motion does carry and does meet the 2/3 standard as outlined by Attorney Schrader.
Okay, the next item up is R 81-25, resolution approving final plat of subdivision for Willow Bay Meadows subdivision. The applicant is requesting approval of final plat for the subdivision. The Plan Commission recommended approval of the final plat. 2 members of the Plan Commission voted against the approval due to the contract for the sale of the property from current owner Land O'Lakes, selling, transferring to the development to Shodine. I think that there was more to it than that, but I know that's the notes are here. So I move approving R 81-25, resolution approving final plat of subdivision for Willow Bay Meadows subdivision.
Motion
A motion, is there a second?
to approve. I'll second.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion approving resolution R 81-25, approving the final plat subdivision for Willow Bay Meadows subdivision. Any questions from trustees for our attorney, or I think even the applicants are here?
So on
Statements?
the developer's responses dated November 13th, 2025, item E, the engineer requested a recorded copy of the easement needed to extend water and sanitary sewer to the property east if the plat for this development is not recorded. And the applicant's response was that the request is outside the scope of engineer's review, was not negotiated or made a requirement of the development agreement, and would constitute an unlawful taking of developer's real property interest without compensation. So I would just like our village attorney to provide some background on that, whether that is legal to ask for, since the November 19th memo from Baxter and Woodman asks for that.
Yes, yes, that's correct. That was a request. And as I understand, as you've indicated, there was objection by the developer, at least from my standpoint. The primary issues were, one, was it requested in the development agreement, which was approved in October, and it was not. So that's another, and there's an indication that it was in there, but it was phrased in the development agreement that within the plat, there would be the necessary easement for providing sewer and water to property located to the east of East Geneva Street. So that is one of it. And what was being requested by the building engineer, as I understand in my conversations with the building engineer after that letter was issued, then we reviewed that, and he understands and agrees that that wasn't addressed in the
Sorry, ma'am, that door needs to stay open. This is a public meeting. Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
So he understands now that it wasn't included as a requirement in the developer's agreement. He was understanding that it was, and we reviewed it, and he agreed that it's not covered in there. The plat deals with development of the property. It doesn't deal with development of the property if the plat isn't recorded. So it was, I think, in my opinion, something that would need to be included in the development agreement, because it's really outside of the final plat itself.
And then the other question, and this is probably for the developer, there's an entrance on Geneva Street, and it looks as if there's a emergency entrance off of Highway 50 for emergency vehicles only. Do we need to have a two-way in and two-way out?
Do we have to have
A two.
two street in?
Like, one way in, one way out? Like, do we have to have two entrances and exits to the subdivision?
Well, again, the engineer had reviewed it and didn't require that. I know in the discussions, in fact, probably the attorney for the developer can answer it better than I even, that in fact there was discussions about that with, I believe, the adjoining property owners who didn't want to have streets going through from this development through their development, and so those are pedestrian access points that go through at this point in time from one to the other, as opposed to streets. And so because of that, the engineer had required the developer to put the emergency access point on the plat to Highway 50. So that was the reason for that. Normally wouldn't see that.
Right.
The point is fluid. Normally you try to do that, but.
So in an emergency, they're all having to go out one entrance.
Well, yeah, an emergency, there's, I think, especially for emergency personnel such as fire and ambulance, they want to make sure that they had access to and from in the event. But yes, if for some reason they could not exit on Geneva Street, then that would provide access to Highway 50.
If they had the key to the Knox box.
Yeah, and again, that if the attorney wants to feel free to fill in on that, but I guess I'm answering some stuff that the engineer had been reviewing,
I know
so I'm
Doug's
trying
not
my
here,
best to
so.
do that. And I understand
Thank you for
that
attending. Yeah.
that this was all, there's years worth of stuff going back and forth before you had an opportunity to review it.
Right.
So these are all good questions.
I
but-
appreciate everyone's patience with me.
No, they're very good questions, but, so that was the genesis of it, is, I think, to make sure that, certainly that emergency personnel could always access, this subdivision, even if they couldn't, get in from East Geneva Street. So, if they're not, so that's.
And then at the plan commission, there was some question about the walking paths being,
Width thereof.
pardon?
The width thereof.
The width thereof,
Yeah.
right, and the developer agreement says 5 feet, but I just wanted to make sure that we're clarifying that that was what is being retained as the 5
So it
feet.
looks like the plan shows 8 feet. As best I can.
The one that Doug put together, the his plan, but the developer's agreement on page number 8,
It says 5 feet,
I clearly spells it.
right?
Okay, but the plat we're being asked to approve shows 8 foot.
But the the engineer on it, but that needs to be updated. Right, also.
Our engineer expressed at the plan commission meeting, and he had said I had a meeting this evening, is that it was a miscommunication and that 5 feet is acceptable from an engineering standpoint, so. I guess you guys attorney is checking that. We approve a plat with 8 feet on it and the agreement that says 5 feet, how does that?
Well,
I mean, I can speak
yeah,
to it.
Sure, yeah.
Sure. So Chad Pollard, for YouTube and forever, 617 East Walworth Avenue, Stuart, Tokar, Soborowski, and Pollard LLC. Many of you have seen my face now several times. For those who haven't, that's who I am. Ultimately, that particular issue, we negotiated it out at Plan Commission and at board. They wanted 5 feet. We put that in a developer's agreement. That was not picked up by our engineer or the village engineer, so they kind of kept going with 8 feet. 5 feet was what was agreed upon. Ultimately, we are fine with 5 feet, and we said that at the Plan Commission.
Right.
That's whether or not it says 5 or 8 is literally a cross out in a right and a put in the right number. So ultimately, the final plat's going to have additional information placed on it. And for instance, the recording information for multiple easements are going to be placed in the final plat. So we have no problem with the 5 feet versus 8 feet. It's not something that is a substantial change to the underlying plans. So you can approve it today, and that change will be made, and I will make sure, right, that number is correct. So that shouldn't be an issue. But that's the explanation as to what happened.
Thank you.
Yep.
I guess while Mr. Pollard's up there, does anyone have any questions for him? Anyone else?
To our village attorney, do we need to do a conditional based on that change? Not that I don't trust developers and attorneys.
No, I know, we want to make a record of it, and so it can be approved, I guess, conditioned upon amending the 5 foot or 8 foot pedestrian path width to 5 feet. And that would be fine.
So we can make a motion to amend that?
Yes, so I will make a motion to amend the prior motion, approving R 8120-25, a resolution approving final plat of subdivision for Willow Bay Meadows subdivision, conditional on the plat changing to 5 foot walkways instead of 8.
Russell, second.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to amend the motion before us to make approval conditional on final plat being amended to 5 foot walkways. Any questions on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment, please vote aye. Aye. Any opposed or no? All right, that motion carries. Are there any other questions on the now amended motion? I guess I still have my question about the village having approved the plan commission and village board having previously approved the plat, and this now being the final plat. We're sort of kind of handcuffed in this process. I think even Commissioner Robbins acknowledged this in his public comment. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, the requirements both in the village code of ordinances and state statutes, which is what the village code is modeled after, provides that if the final plat substantially conforms to the approved preliminary plat, it shall be approved. That is, so that means that if the final plat is consistent with what was presented with the preliminary plat, along with and meets the conditions for approval of the preliminary plat, then the village is required to approve it, because you're basically now approving something that you've already approved, is the essence of it. The engineer needs to make sure, as does the zoning administrator, that all of the requirements for a final plat, or all the technical requirements for a final plat are then met, including and that the engineering plans are reviewed and approved. And as I understand that the village engineer doesn't have objections to the technical requirements having been met for the engineering plans, and nor that and doesn't have concerns that the technical requirements for the final plat haven't been met, as far as I'm aware, so.
All right. And the board, or even plan commission for that matter, would they have, we wouldn't legally be able to deny a development based on who was going to be building on it, right? Or could we?
That's not provided for as a criteria in the ordinances, and nor in chapter 236 of the statutes, where the village gets its authority for approving land divisions.
Okay, I just wanted to, that's not how I understood it, just wanted to make sure we had that for the record. Okay. Are there any other questions for anyone, or questions, comments, statements before we go to the vote? All right, will the clerk give us a roll, please?
President Hiramio,
Aye.
trustee Bartholomew,
No.
trustee Humans,
Aye.
trustee Wright,
Aye.
trustee Black,
Aye.
trustee Russell,
Aye.
trustee Franzen.
No.
All right, so that motion does pass 5-2, which I believe qualifies as a two-thirds condition. And that motion carries, and resolution R8125 is passed. All right. Trustee Franzen, continue.
So the following items were approved by the village board on 12/1/25 and are being represented as there were substantive changes requiring village board reconsideration. So item C is R7625, resolution authorizing insurance policy renewals with League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Company and R&R Insurance for year 2026. So during the December 1st village board meeting, questions were raised about the old and new Harris Road lift stations. These changes were presented to the insurer along with the addition of the new village hall building located at 121 North Elkhorn. The insurer made these changes to the policy, and premium cost increased by $820. The enclosed policy reflects those changes. So the village board is being asked to consider approving as the 2026 coverage expires at year end on December 31st. So I move to approve R7625, resolution authorizing insurance policy renewals with League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Company and R&R Insurance for year 2026.
Second, Wright.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve resolution R7625. Any questions on the motion? All in favor, please vote aye. Aye. Any opposed, vote no. Motion carries.
Item D on the agenda is R78-25, resolution authorizing the village president or village administrator to sign all documents necessary to facilitate the closing on the purchase of 121 North Elkhorn Road. This resolution provides the authorization necessary for either village president Jaramillo or village administrator Ledspike to sign the documents for that purchase. All documents will be reviewed by village attorney Mark Schroeder prior to signing. Closing date tentatively scheduled for January 15th. Based upon the village attorney Schroeder's review of the commitment for title insurance provided to us, the resolution authorizing execution of closing documents requires revision to reflect the fact that the title to the property must be conveyed first from First National Bank and Trust Company to Bank First, which will then transfer ownership of the property to the village of Williams Bay. I move to approve R7825, a resolution authorizing the village president or village administrator to sign all documents necessary to facilitate the closing on the purchase of 121 North Elkhorn Road. Second, Bartholomew.
All right, there's a first and a second on the motion to approve resolution R7825. Any questions or comments on the motion? To say, I think, I'm fine with you signing them, Dave. Don't bother calling me and making it come down here. You're welcome to sign it. All right. If there's no other questions, all in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, vote no. That motion carries. All right, thank you, trustee Franson. Now we'll move to the second opportunity for public comments this evening. This will be the last opportunity this evening to share public comments. So if you have one or a question you'd like to have answered at a future meeting, please step up to the lectern, give your full name and your address, please.
Hi, I'm Laura Schnell at 511 Mulberry Drive. I'll be right next to where they're gonna be building and, with shelving and everything. And I just wanna be sure, I know you say 5 feet, I think they go in, but I just wanna make sure for sure it's 5 feet, because I always hear it is, and then they go back and forth. And then I wanna make sure that they're not opening the streets by us on Panama in Bull Bay, because there's so many people that walk their dogs and walk with their families. And with the 42 homes going next to us, it'd be terrible to hear cars going in and out. I just want to make sure that already what I see is so different. When the man from Shodine showed up and he was walking in the woods next to our house, I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "We're going to be building here." And I said, "Are you taking?" He was marking trees that are dead. I could just dead on Jess. I watched them plow through with this big equipment, taking down trees with beautiful leaves on them, big trees, beautiful. And I had videotape it. I took a videotape and I took it. And it just doesn't look the same anymore. And I hope that they don't go ahead and do more. So I hope you watch Jodine. I don't trust what they say or do. I don't feel comfortable with them building next to us. And that's all I want to say. And I hope you keep an eye on them somehow to make sure they don't do more damage to what they already did to our neighborhood, because it's not the same anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Yvette Howard. I'm the VP for property management with the Winsley Leadership Center. Some of you probably recognize me from being at George Williams with a similar role for about 14 years until recently. I'm here, as you all know, Williams Leadership Center is trying to get their liquor license. And I know that Andre had sent a letter to all the board members over this past week. And I'd just like to share the letter and be here to answer any questions you may have. Because when I was here, when the decision was tabled, I felt like we needed to just better explain ourselves. So if it's okay if I read the letter. As construction at the Women's Leadership Center at Williams Bay nears completion, we look forward to continued collaboration with the village as we prepare for its opening and operations. We are grateful for your support and excited to soon open our doors, bringing a shared vision to life. The center has the potential to attract distinguished leaders from around the world, drawing highly desirable customer base to local businesses and further establishing Williams Bay as a culturally significant destination, a place where learning, arts, and community intersect in an inspiring natural setting. A critical element of our operating model relies on our ability to provide exceptional experiences, including high-quality cuisine paired with wine and spirits. Without this, we cannot realistically compete with established national and global iconic retreat centers. Even prior to opening, we have received numerous inquiries for 2026 from organizations seeking to host high-profile gatherings at the center, including the International Women's Forum, that's IWF, an invitation-only membership organization of more than 8,000 accomplished women from 33 nations across 6 continents, and expressed interest in hosting programs at the center. Its events always include food and beverage service, including alcoholic beverages at networking, receptions, and dinners. Another one is the Women's Corporate Directors, WCD. WCD is a global membership organization of women corporate directors serving on numerous boards of publicly traded companies, large private companies, and family-run businesses worldwide. WCD has inquired about hosting a multi-day strategy retreat for its chapter presidents from across the globe, which would include networking receptions and evening meals accompanied by appropriate alcoholic beverages. We've also been approached by local mission aligned organizations. The center is also envisioned as a gathering space for occasional fundraising events such as dinners and galas. We have already received interest from respective local organizations whose events traditionally include beverage service. These examples highlight the essential nature of our liquor license for which we are applying. Securing this license is vital to our ability to attract visitors to the center and in turn to bring recurring economic and cultural benefits to the village. Thank you for your consideration of our application and your support. Is there anything I can answer to help you understand?
Thank you, Mrs. Howard. This isn't a forum, so we can't go back and forth with you. If you want to stick around the end of the meeting, maybe some of the trustees might talk to you or reach out to you.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
All right. Is there any other public comments at this time?
Mike Farrager, 536 Morgan Drive. I'm concerned about the Hanson addition. What I'm talking about is before the commission or before the trustees approve any type of development agreement, that the people of Willow Bay Woods are given substantial time to give our opinions, not just on Friday and can come back on Monday, but give us time to actually go through it, because that development as Willow Bay Meadows has a direct effect. And as you could see, we could not do, we had some discussions with the village constantly on Willow Bay Meadows, and we met with Dave and things. But on Hanson probably, we have not had any of that. So I asked the board, before you approve any development agreement, that you give us time. The Willow Bay Woods and Free Church subdivision were directly affected by that, time to review it. That's all I asked. And secondly, with the Women's Center, they're asking to be in direct competition with other businesses that they're a nonprofit, and they're asking for be able to serve food and alcohol and go directly in competition with profit businesses within Williams Bay. And I find that a little off. I don't think it should be approved by the village.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else this evening? Last chance. We do have opportunities for public comments at all of our village board meetings, and our next scheduled meeting is first Monday in January. I believe that's January 5th. So there will be two opportunities that evening. One opportunity that evening. All right. So with that, we'll move on to the next agenda item, other items for discussion, consideration or action. We have one item on here, and that's a discussion and possible action to extend a conditional offer for the police officer position. I'm going to let our chief police introduce this.
Thank you, President Jaramillo. You have a letter from me attached to the packet, as well as Ms. Jessica Lidl's resume. To give you a little bit of background, when we conducted the first round of police officer interviews, we have an ongoing list. So we basically have the ability to rank them for our hiring policy, and we can pull from that hiring list. That group of individuals, Trustee Wright, Trustee Black, Ms. Sanders. We also had, I forget the officer, was it Officer Erickson, and then Lieutenant Costock. During that, Officer Carlton, who was approved a month ago, she was our lead, and then Jessica Lidl was number 2. With the conditional offer that was sent to Officer Dan Hammock to be promoted to lieutenant, that will open up an officer position. I'm requesting that we use that list, which would be Ms. Jessica Lidl, to put a conditional offer out to her, which would initiate the background. Ms. Lidl's background, currently, her employment background, she worked for Round Lake Beach, Illinois, for roughly over a year. And then she is now with Wonder Lake Police Department for at a part-time basis. So she's looking to one, become full-time, and also come up to Wisconsin and start working for Wisconsin Police Department. That is during her interview, we really enjoyed her passion for community-oriented policing. And we're really excited to hopefully bring her on this team, or onto the team. I'd be willing to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Let's see input from the other officers. And then did you ask them, about working together? Because we got a really good team now.
Yeah, great. And I appreciate you bringing that up, because it actually reminds me, Ms. Lidl was actually the only person out of that group who went and actually did a walkthrough at the police department and was introduced to a couple of the officers. That was prior to her actually going through the interview process the first time. So the few officers, and she met 3 of them, liked her. It's hard to gauge off of one day, right? But they did like her.
Yeah. So if you're gauging it, because she seems to be very young, I don't know, that's fairly young still.
Yeah,
Is he gonna use Williams Bay as a springboard, like a part-time officer, or do you feel more she might stay for quite a while?
Good question. We'd be investing in her as well, especially she has to pass the reciprocity. So anybody from Illinois or any other state needs to pass the reciprocity exam. So much like what we've done with Officer Carlton, as well as Officer Robbie, is there's a certain employment agreement that Mr. Schrader and I have worked through. So we have something that's in place, and we'll have to kind of work that around and see if that's even something we're able to do with her. But I don't think she'll use this as a springboard. I didn't get that feeling. I don't know if anybody, if the trustees felt that way, or Ms. Sanders, but I didn't get that impression.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the chief?
How long would it take to make her effective and fully on board?
So realistically, the background is what takes the longest. It's how quickly we can get in touch with people. Holidays are coming up. I wouldn't expect to see this come to an oath until probably the second meeting in January, realistically. We'd like to get her sooner rather than later. But realistically, especially around the holidays, it's going to be difficult to get in touch with people. So it's going to take a little bit. Around that time would also be the time we would do the official promotion to Officer Hammett.
My question about the reciprocity test, is that something you can just take, or is it like, is there a timeline, like the SAT, you have to take it a certain month or something? Or?
Yeah. So the reciprocity has to be done within 1 year of employment.
Oh, okay.
And then there is also an application period to that as well that would need to be completed and then accepted in the reciprocity. But the state only allows it certain times, so we have to sign her up for one of those times. She can be employed with us and going through field training and such. So it's not a hindrance, and it won't hold us back from her working for us. It's just a matter of getting her officially certified through the state. Like I said, we've done this with Officer Stanek, Officer Skirdo, myself. I was a reciprocity officer as well. So.
Great. So I think Chair will make a motion to extend a conditional offer for the police officer position to Jessica Lidl. I asked him for things too. And that's a conditional offer, so that includes all the conditions already in there, right?
Correct.
All right. So
Second, Franzen.
All right, we have a first and a second on the motion to extend a conditional offer for the police officer position to Jessica Lidle. Any questions, further questions or comments on the motion?
I would just add that I think that will exhaust our list, doesn't it, Chief?
It does. Yeah.
And we've had other officers that we interviewed at that same interview that we did not put on the list. So we only select who we feel are qualified and the best officers to put on there. We don't put everybody on there. So.
Anything else? Any questions? All in favor of the motion, please vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, vote no. All right, that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, so the final item on tonight's agenda is going into a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute, section 19.85, sub 1, sub E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. This is regarding the Canyon Development LLC development agreement, commonly known as Hanson's Edition. I just want to be clear that we are following what we're calling a topography model for development agreements, where we're not going to be voting on anything until it's been before the public, as requested by Mr. Fewiger for a substantial amount of time. 2 weeks is our goal. So I just want to be clear that what we're going to be discussing, but we're not going to be taking any action following the open session at the end. So you're welcome to still hang around in the hallway. We do have to kick you out right now. You're welcome to hang out. We're just going to be adjourning after we come back into open session. Thank you everyone for coming. What's that?
You need a motion.
So yeah, can I get a motion to enter closed session? First from trustee Wood, second from trustee Wright. I think we need a roll call, right? Roll call, please.
President Haramio.
Aye.
Trustee Bartholomew. Trustee Newman. Trustee Wright.
Aye.
Trustee Black.
Aye.
Trustee Russell.
Aye.
Trustee Franzen.
All right, so that is a unanimous vote. We are going to enter closed sessions. We're going to take a moment to make sure we adjust our live feed before we start that discussion.
I'm actually going to end it because there's no way to turn off the video.
So yeah, anyone listening at home, we are going to end the live feed right now and figure out how to do closed sessions better. So again, this is our demo video.